I was born in Queens, New York in the year 1926. My parents were poor, I would say, and we were on relief at that time. I remember waiting online to accept some kind of food, you know, for our family and so forth. It was just really tough. It was the height of the Great Depression. My father told me when I was 4 years old, and we used to listen to the radio, and Bunny Berrigan was a trumpet player. And he kept saying, "You're going to be a trumpet player." When I got a little bit older, I wasn't much older, and he used to take me to the Apollo Theater. And of course, you know, things were rough then, but he'd get the money somehow and to get me in there in Harlem to hear these great bands, mostly the black bands. We were the only white people in the place, and I was only kid, and we'd catch Louis Armstrong and so forth.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's one you all can sing with us. When the Saints go marching in.
And we'd go back again and again. And I don't know whether my father really enjoyed the music as much as he did those half-naked black dancers.
Look at these fine, delicious dinners out here this afternoon. The gas ain't there.
I used to say, "What are you doing, Daddy?" Hanging over the railing, looking.
Why, you lovely thing, where have you been all my life?
I was all interested in the bands and the brightness of the trumpets, like the color of them, like they were shining, and a guy would get up and play. And I used to listen and watch and say, "Well, I want to be on that stage someday." And we'd go back again and again. One day my father said, "I talked to Tony," that was his favorite trumpet player and friend, "and he's going to be giving you lessons." And I said, "Great." And he got a trumpet for me, my father. I think it was $25 at that time. And Tony came and gave me a lesson, and I started to enjoy playing the trumpet. My dad and I went into Selmer store where they sell these instruments. The trumpets were actually played by Louis Armstrong and Harry James and whoever it was, but they were high priced. We weren't even thinking of buying it, but he wanted me to just try it, you know. And the salesman said, "You sit there and play it and try it," and he probably figured, what is he going to do? And so he walked out, and I played it, and I said to myself, "Gee, this is beautiful." You know, I got the sound, and he came back like a maniac. The guy said, "Hey, was that kid playing?" And he brought in a couple of other people, and he said, "Listen to this." And it gave me the first clue that I could be a trumpet player. And I practiced so hard, though. I used to play 2 and 3 hours a day, every day. And the school said they're having a big contest, trumpet students, to see if they can get a scholarship to Juilliard with William Vacchiano. And she said, "You go too, kid," she said to me. And I said, "All right." She didn't have any interest in me. And when I got to the place, I played and so forth. Nothing was said. And then I got a card in the mail saying that I won. All of a sudden, I became a hero in high school. Everybody knew it. In fact, in school, I started my own swing band. And that went over big. So what I did, I stayed in town and played with Sam Donahue. And we went out on different club dates. And some of the greatest musicians in the world were on that band, so I felt very good about that. I always became a leader. I wanted to be a leader. I didn't want to be a sideman all my life, although I did play with a lot of bands as a sideman. I always said to myself, why do they have these bands and none of the kids are ever, nobody does anything with young kids? And a friend of mine, I lived in South Old Long Island at the time, and a friend of mine kept talking about Florida, and he said, gee, Sonny, I think you'd do well there. And I said, I always wanted to go there. Let me try it. I went down, and I spent a year by myself to see if I could make it. My wife and kids were home, and I started slowly. And I remember a friend of mine who came in at the same time. He said, Sonny, I'm doing pretty good. He says, I got 8 trumpet students so far. He says, what do you have? And I felt bad. Tell him. I said, 80. He says, 80 students? I said, yeah, but I do it day and night, you know, and I went to homes, I taught guitar, piano, and that's why I started this thing I have now, or I did have, you know, with the kids' band. I've met some of the greatest musicians and people in the world, and the band became terrific. Nat Hentorf wrote us up in Wall Street Journal. I couldn't believe that Doc Severinsen and guys from The Tonight Show would stand on the side and say, how does he do this? This is wonderful. Bill Clinton said, Sonny, you're the ambassadors of jazz. It was great. I felt good about all that because the kids were playing so great. I had singers who could, most kids sing with no feeling whatsoever. I said, I'm not going to go up and have a kid sing, hey, look me up, you know, so no sound, no feeling. And I worked with them because I knew a lot about vocals. I used to get them to sing with emotion, you know? Something in the way she moves, and to get a nice feeling. And people start to notice this. And I had some kids, at least 2 or 3 are making the big time right now. And Eric Darris is one. Eric Darris, he's playing all over the world right now.
When I hear the name Sonny LaRosa, I think a ball of energy. I mean, Sonny is just a character. He really is. I mean, just to be around him, his aura, his vibe. I mean, there's nobody else I've ever met that's like Sonny. And I'm so blessed I had the opportunity to be in his band. And he's just changed the life of so many people, including mine. And I'm just thankful for the contributions that he's given to jazz. And I'm going to carry that with me everywhere that I go and try to help inspire people and do exactly what Sonny did.
I know there's Dave Stewart, and he's got a group. He played with on The Tonight Show. I saw him. That's rewarding for me.
Thank you, Sonny LaRosa, for your commitment. Me having that rehearsal to go to on Saturdays was amazing. I mean, the neighborhood I grew up in, I was definitely in an at-risk type of neighborhood, and it was essential to have something to do, something to focus on, something to push towards. So thank you, Sonny.
The biggest thing about these kids, I get a letter, Sonny, you did everything for me. You were wonderful. I love you for the... And I said, I don't remember what you played. He said, well, I used to play the trumpet. I'm a dentist now. So I said to myself, what is he? I never pulled any teeth or anything. And there's been a load of kids like that. Doctors, dentists, lawyers. And they write to me now. And I have a whole book written on letters from them that I keep forever because it's so wonderful to hear that they did well in other things besides music. And they still love it. I still have my horn, you know, I still play, but I'm a dentist or a doctor or whatever it was. And it was rewarding for me. Music gave them the confidence to accomplish anything they wanted to do.
You're saying you're marching in when the
Well, if nobody continues with young kids, it's going to fade. Big band swinging jazz, they won't even know what it's all about. So instead of jazz organizations worrying about giving concerts and all, they should worry about somebody taking my place, because if they don't, it's going to go down the tubes.